Good morning and welcome to Cactv. This is the newspaper review on Morning Dew. I am Mujot Dominic.
And my name is Oladipo. Good morning, viewers at home.
Okay, quickly we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the quote for today and also take a look at the newspaper review. So please stay tuned. We'll be right back shortly after this. So welcome back. So let's take a look at our quote for today, and this is taken from the book of First John 5:15, and it says, "And if we know He is listening when we make our request, we can be sure that He will give us what we ask for." I'll take that again. First John 5:15 says, "If we know He listens when we ask our request, we can be sure that He will give us what we ask for." So when you know in place of prayer that He listens to you when you ask for anything, then you will be rest assured that whatever you ask for, He will give to you. But first, you need to first be sure that you know that He is there listening to every of your requests. And then you have to be assured that He will come through for you when you ask of Him. And make sure that whatever you're asking of Him is in accordance to His will. That is the only time you can be sure that you would get your request. Because anything outside God's will, you may not get response to that. But first, be assured that God is listening to every of your requests, and He will come to you. He will come through to you, come through for you anytime, any day, in as much as it is in line with His will. May God bless you, and also make sure that you do the right thing at the right time always, because that is always that is expected of us as Christians, as believers in Christ. So thank you for listening to that quote for today. So let's dive right into the newspaper review, and first we'll be starting with the Punch newspaper. The first story from the Punch says, "States spend 1.7 trillion naira on trips, meal. Others borrow 988 billion naira." The 36 states of the Federation have spent 1.7 trillion naira on recurrent expenditures, including allowances, foreign trips, of office stationaries, aircraft maintenance, and more in the first 9 months of 2023. This is according to analysis of their budget performance report sourced from Open Nigerian States, a budget-backed website that serves as a repository of government budget data. 24 states analyzed by the Bunch had budget implementation data covering the first 3 quarters of the year, while 12 states had data for the first 2 quarters of the year. The state cumulative spent 802.43 billion naira on the salaries across the data period available, but the Punch isolated this data set to focus on other recurrent spending items. If salaries were added, total current spending would have been 2.52 trillion naira. Other current spending items covered in this report include the amount spent on foreign and domestic travel, internet access fees, entertainment, foodstuff, honorarium, seating allowance, wardrobe allowances, telephone bills, electricity charges, stationaries, anniversary stroke special days, welfare, aircraft maintenance, and so much more. Of the 36 states, only 30 states have disbursed security votes of 87.45 billion naira so far. Also, the total borrowings of the state grew to 988 billion naira as of the third quarter of 2023. And I'm like, how true is this? Are we really borrowing all of this amount for this? And so far, all of the borrowings, all of the spendings I've seen here, some of them are not relevant. And I'm like, how did we get to this point? How true is this, Engineer Ola?
Well, this applies to an individual that you are not prudent in your spending. What do you expect? If a state government, a state can be borrowing money without generating any money at all, what do you expect? In a state where before you pay salary, you have to go out there and borrow money. That I'm not talking about your allowances. From what you have read so far now, you realize that okay, every state is not generating any fund, but they are spending so much on the current expenditure. And when you do that, that means every year annually you have a certain amount of money that you are going to spend without working for it. We are talking about aircraft maintenance, and not all of them have disbursed security vote fund. That means that is why we don't have security in all the states, because the money meant for security is not disbursed at the right time. They spend money on trivialities, traveling allowances, holiday fee, maintenance, and all the rest.
Special days,
which means the state they just go there to spend the money. They go there to share the national cake. They are not doing anything. And this is what we are talking about, monitoring. If the federal government sends certain amount of money to a particular state as their budget for the year, the government has to monitor how the budget is being spent. There must be a monitoring ministry attached to the Nigerian police for proper investigation. If this thing is not checked properly, it will continue and become get to a situation whereby it will be uncontrollable. Because at the tenure of every governor, there is no check-up. They will go to a kangaroo court and they will say, oh, this governor has embezzled this amount of money, we have to recover the money back from him, and it's not so. We just know about a case in court and will not see the end result. Now we are saying Nigeria is broke. We can realize that Nigeria is no longer productive. No state is non-productive in the country. They just go there. The federal government will go out and borrow money, not for a capital project, but for expenditures. You borrow money to pay salaries. It is like you are a salary earner, and at the end of every month, you have to pay your debt. At the end of the day, after paying your debt, you don't have anything left. You are not really working. You don't borrow money to eat, and this is exactly what is happening now.
No productivity.
No productivity at all. So then again, when you look at what Obasanjo just said, we spoke about it yesterday.
Of course.
That this system of government is very expensive. It's not coming to reality. Every Nigerian is seeing this, and this is where I think Nigerian Labour Union should come into the picture and say the system of government we are practicing is not affordable for this economy.
It's selfish practice.
It's very expensive. The author of that idea is coming out to say the idea I gave assent to at that particular moment is faulty. Let's look for an alternative way to govern ourselves in Africa, not only in Nigeria. Everywhere this Western democracy is wrong. It's very, very expensive.
Okay, so we'll come to that shortly. Let's go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll look at further stories. Please stay tuned.
Cactv, igniting the apostolic fire. Cactv, igniting the apostolic fire.
All right, so we're still talking about the fund, the borrowing, and how it's been spent. So, Engineer, you were still saying something.
Yeah, now you see, what we used to know Nigeria with is agriculture. But now there's insecurity, and nobody goes again to farm. If the land for basket is depreciating, let me say it is exhausted. And these governors are not doing anything about this. They are not generating money at all. What about farming? What about animal rearing? What about poultry business? Every state has the ability and the capacity to do all these things. Nobody is doing it. We rely on loans. Now let me go there as a governor, take loans from the bank, and spend it the way I like. So what we are saying is the federal government should now look into it and say, okay, the federal government should stop borrowing. When we don't borrow money, that will not be enough to lavish. Maybe we'll sit tight. Because when you are borrowing money to pay salaries, how are you going to refund or pay back the money? No, that's a very big problem which the federal government, especially Mr. President, has to look into. How are we going to be generating money? That is the state government to generate funds. We don't have to rely on foreign loans to survive.
And looking at how far we've spent so far in the space of 9 months is really alarming, and the things it's been spent for are just not it at all. When we are having issues with the security sector, it is just not right at all. This calls for a lot of attention, and I hope that this does not we don't have to face this again in the next year, being 2024.
And you are talking about salaries. Most of these workers are ghost workers. They don't come to the office and they take salaries. Most of them are retired, and they still pay them salaries, and they know what is going on, and yet they continue paying them money. How long would this last?
This still boils down to supervision, as we mentioned yesterday.
Of course, because there's no monitoring at all. What about the pensioners? They don't get their money, and the federal government will send the money to each state, pay these pensioners. Then they will not get their monies. What is happening? So there are laws to be done, especially the state governors. Maybe EFCC will have to start looking. Maybe in every state, in every department, maybe they have to recruit people from the Nigerian police force to join EFCC. Maybe they are not sufficient. Maybe they are not enough. Maybe they are understaffed, so that they can support them and look into the affairs of each state. How they spend money, because the country is going down financially, and everybody is crying, and we every day in the paper you see huge amount of money being spent by the state government, and we don't see the monies at all. We don't see the effect on people. We don't see the money taking care of the welfare of the people. So government should step up and do something about this. This is becoming alarming.
Yes, government should step up and do what they need to do and do it as soon as possible. Okay, taking a look at further stories still from the Punch newspaper. This says $35 billion needed to execute concrete road projects, says Umahi. The Minister of Works, David Umahi, has revealed that the government needs $35 billion to kickstart the construction of concrete roads nationwide. He also states the moribund Ajakuta Steel Company will provide 16%, I beg to say, of the steel material needed for the construction of Nigerian roads in concrete pavement. This far-reaching resolution was the cruise of discussion when the works ministers met with the Minister of Steel Development, Shuaib Audu, and the ministry's headquarters in Abuja. The chief press secretary to the minister, Oji Uchenna, in a statement on Tuesday said the meeting underscored the imperative of coordination, operations and coherence in the execution of the federal government's action plan for national development. The minister also noted that the funding, which will be gotten through a partnership with the commercial bank, will be ascertained to by the Federal Executive Council. Also saying that Umahi said, how do we activate the Ajaokuta steel? We are going into the concrete road. In this concrete road, about 16% of it is from steel, while 30% is of cement. We need a lot of money to start, but we decided to face it, and God has given us an idea. Okay, so this is talking about the forthcoming road that Umahi is planning to work on, and seeing that it needs about $35 billion to kickstart this. Is a huge one actually, and
How is he going to get the $35 billion?
and looking at the current state situation right now, and we're looking at an estimation of $35 billion to kickstart a concrete road.
How is he going to get $35 billion?
Well, in his last statement, he said that we have an idea, and we hope that God will also help them see that the idea comes to realization.
Well, if he has an idea and the way he's going to do it, maybe it's going to be a surprise to all Nigerians. Maybe the man is a genius that will be able to do it. Because from the situation of the country now, we are talking about $35 billion to construct roads. In Nigeria today, we have roads that we don't maintain. Lagos Ibadan road is not up to about a year that was completed.
I guess that's why he's talking about
and then you now see holes on the road. We are talking about Ajakuta. You said it's moribund. There's something that is going on which I do not know how to explain it. You know very well that Ajakuta still really means not working. Simply because there's a shaft, there's a very big furnace designed and constructed by the Russians. Inside the furnace there is a shaft. The shaft is not aligned. In science we have two forces. That is a rotating object. We have centripetal force and the centrifugal force. These two forces must be in equilibrium. If they are not in equilibrium, there will be misalignment. And when there's misalignment, the shaft that you are talking about inside the furnace that is in Ajakuta, that shaft is not straightened. It's not in equilibrium. So Ajakuta is not functioning, and nobody is talking about this except those people who are really working there can know what I'm talking about. They are not talking about this. You are now depending on Ajakuta to give you 16% of the steel. When you know Ajakuta is moribund, you are basing your theory on what you know is not working. You are talking about building Nigerian roads with concrete. You know the cost of cement in Nigeria today. There must be an alternative to everything you are doing. You are talking of $35 billion, and you want to raise this money from the commercial banks in Nigeria. Are you sure this thing is visible? Very good, it's a laudable project that will last for a longer time, but can we
But
afford?
is it realistic?
Yeah, I don't think it's realistic. What this man is saying, okay, look at Thornbayland Bridge. Every year they close Thornbayland Bridge, they want to do maintenance. The maintenance is every year, simply because I've said it here severally that in Nigerian construction policies, you must involve Nigerian students. This is where they learn their practical. When they take part in the road construction in Nigeria, they understand all that is needed. They understand what is really going on because they are still studying. No, they understand what is going on worldwide. They adapt it to Nigerian system. But when you are constructing roads, you don't involve Nigerian students. And at the end of the day, you see Nigerians are not performing very well. We are talking about using steel and concrete to build the roads is a very good thing. But what about the cost? Can we afford it now? Now you are saying that the federal government does not have the money to give to you, but we want to approach commercial banks to borrow money. And commercial banks will now say, okay, if you give money to construct this road, we'll put tariff on the road. That will be toll gates where you pay money. Of course, that is not too bad. But now the fact of the case is that at the end of the day, if you are going to construct the roads, as per what you have said, are you going to follow what is in the book? That is, if you say, okay, the value that, okay, you are going to use 20 bags of cement for this project, are you using 20 bags or you are using 10 bags? So many pages uncovered. What Umahi is saying, he has to sit back and understand it very well before you embark on it. Not that when you start it, you'll be able to finish it.
It's actually a huge one, and I think going by the current state situation is something that he really needs to see back again and understudy it, like you have said.
And then again, now when you want to construct a road project, there are many things you need to take into consideration. I have said it here that you have to liaise with other departments. You are constructing road. We have internet facilities that is developing and going on in Nigeria now today. We have the 5G, that is the cables that are going along the road. You must build a corridor where you lay the cables. You must build corridor for some others like electricity. You must build corridors. If you don't take all this into consideration, after you have constructed the road, P&T or let me say United people or telecommunication people will come again and break the road. We want to lay our cables under the ground. They destroy the road again, spend another money again, additional money. You have to consider all these people factors, the health, Ministry of Health, water, Ministry of water corporation and all the rest before you construct your road. Then you have to sit down with them, formulate a policy. This is what we want to build. We lay our cables along these ASICs. Okay, what do you want? Build a corridor for us where we can lay our cable before you come out and say we want to construct a road. Otherwise, after 3 months or 6 months, you break the road again because Ministry of Telecommunication want to lay cables. So it's a laudable project, but to me, we have to really think about it because this amount of money in a present Nigeria today is very expensive. Very huge.
All right, I really hope that it takes that into consideration and not just giving us a figure that is not realistic. So taking a look at the last story that we have for the Punch newspaper, this says Navy hands over seized oil-laden ship to EFCC. An oil-laden vessel with no documentation and approvals arrested on the Creek of Delta by operatives of the Nigerian Navy ship Delta was on Tuesday in Warri, handed over by the commander NNS Delta, Commander Chindu Yahaya, to the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for detailed investigation and further necessary actions. Yahaya, represented by the base operations officer NNS Delta Navy Commander Samuel Musa, formally handed over the arrested vessel TUG MV TEF 1 to officials of the anti-craft agency led by the Assistant Commander 2, EFCC Benin Zonal Command, Gomina Francis, on Tuesday. Briefing journalists, the Navy disclosed that the vessel was arrested on July 6, 2023 at KFT Yard Ejeba along NPA Express in Warri South local government area of Delta State, as it was discharging products suspected to be algo into some rubber tanks without necessary documentations and approvals. Okay, so we'll also see that the vessel was detained and taken to NNS Delta accordingly. We'll also see that the TUG MFTF 1 is hereby handed over to the EFCC for detailed investigation and further necessary actions. Here I would say kudos to the Navy officials for doing a good job, because so far reports have been showing that they've been getting arrest of people who have been into oil thefts in that area, especially in that Warri axis. And now to see that this has been handed over to the EFCC officials, I hope, because that's my fear right now, I hope that they do something with it. I hope that they handle it carefully. I hope that they disperse it to the right channel, and not just because our officials these days have really not been, you've been up and doing when it comes to situations like this. And I really also want to say kudos to them for making sure that this is being done, and then they've arrested. I hope that they've also arrested the people who are involved in this theft. Okay, so going forward, I would want to ask, so is this the right thing to do, handing it over to the EFCC, and how do we who look forward to them disbursing or doing this, handling it the right way? Is EFCC the right people to hand this over to?
Well, because the work of Nigerian Navy is not to take people to court. The work, when you have an anti-graft agency that they are in charge of that, you hand over to EFCC. They know what to do. They will investigate the matter and charge them to court appropriately. I think the Nigerian Navy is doing something that is very good economically. We just hope and pray that they will continue towing these lines of action. But at the same time, it's taking longer than necessary. The ship was arrested in July, and they want to hand over in November. It's taking a long time, like just more than about 3 to 4 months. That is in between the time of arrest and time of prosecution. Maybe they were carrying out some investigations, because they have to submit documentations to EFCC also. Something like this is too occurring in the country. But if the Nigerian Navy is doing something like this, it will check those people that are willing to still go into that kind of a business.
Because
it's a good thing. We just see more grace to their elbow, and we believe that Nigerian Navy will continue with this
good work. Yes, the zeal. It is the zeal for me, because so far this reoccurring theft situation has really taken a toll on the oil sector, and kudos to them once again for doing a good job. And we also look forward to them doing more and making sure that the needful is being done. So we'll go on a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at the stories making headlines from Vanguard and also The Sun. Please stay tuned. from that quick break. We are still on the newspaper review on Cactv. So we'll take a look at the story making headlines from Vanguard, and the first story says why insecurity is not going away. Service chiefs. Chief of Defense Staff General Christopher Musa yesterday revealed that Boko Haram members held in prisons across the country still carries out their criminal operations through the help of some prison warders. General Musa made the disclosure yesterday during the sectorial debate with service chiefs organized by the House of Representatives at plenary in Abuja yesterday. Further story tells that at the parley, the service chiefs gave reasons the security agencies appeared to be underperforming their challenges and how to overcome and secure the country. We'll also see that the House had rescheduled the meeting from last week to today after the security chiefs could not appear for the debate in person. Okay, so that's the first story that we have from the Vanguard newspaper, and why insecurity is not going away. So this is more like telling us that they know about this, there is more to this, they are not telling us. So if they are able to say that, if they're coming out to say that because they have warders who are still helping the Boko Harams who have been held in the prison, and then they are not doing their job, it means that there is more to it that we do not know about. What exactly is going on? Who are these prison warders? How are they being able to make sure that they get the coups who are making sure that the Nigerian security is not at ease at this point? Engineer.
But you see, when we don't have anything to say to defend ourselves, we resort to saying jargons. I'm not saying that the Chief of Defense Staff, General Christopher Musa, is saying jargon. What I'm saying in fact is that maybe this is part of the reason why they are still unable to conquer all these perpetrators. There are more to it. Maybe one of the main reasons is saying here is that even the but when you allow people to risk them, you don't know who is who.
Okay, now in the case where this, with this being said so far, it shows that it is not just people coming to visit them, it is people inward doing this job. If we have warders who are also working with them outside, it means that there is so much more they also need to do. They also need to pay attention to the warders, those who are in the house, as far as the prison yard is concerned.
That is what I'm saying, that if you have camera, in the environment, you'll be able to monitor what is going on. When you track back, before the chief of staff can say this, he has a lot of information.
Exactly.
No, but he just wants to say, okay, this is the reason why we are not succeeding in this operation, because they still have some prison yard staff that are working with them. They are human beings. They can bribe them with money, they can give them a lot of money that you have never seen in your life. Somebody is giving 50 million naira to pass out this information. You may not say no to this, but they have to track them, those who are working with them. And another thing is this: is very peculiar about Nigerians, that when you see somebody of your tribe that you speak the same language, you know, you feel that thing in you that, okay, maybe he's an hardened criminal. You may still say, this person belongs to my tribe. I need to help him. But when you are helping him, you are destroying the nation. So now that we have this information that most of the prison staff are working with these people, what they have to do is now to monitor them and put them to book. Very simple. The chief of army staff is trying to be tactical. He doesn't want to give out the information that they know. But because if he gives out the information, there's no way for them, there's no way again they will be able to defeat the enemy. He has to hold the information by saying the prison staff are collaborating with them. That is the main reason why we are not, because when you capture the leader, you know, the organized people that are working with him, they will be disorganized. But when they are getting information, they will come back and organize again. We have seen it in so many countries that when you are fighting, you pick the leader, and yet these people, they will still be sending information to the leader.
Exactly.
There's no, even some of them may allow themselves to be arrested so that they can get in touch with the leader and pass out the information to people. You know, they are now getting close to the end of their era, because now they have the information that these people that are in prison yard, they are sending out information to other people through these prison warders.
All right, so we'll take a look at the next story, still from Vanguard, and this says Nigeria, Germany signs $500 million renewable energy gas deals. The burgeoning economic partnership between Nigeria and Germany witnessed further expansion and strengthening yesterday as two important agreements were signed among businesses from both countries. We'll also see that speaking at the 10th German-Nigerian Business Forum in Berlin, Germany, President Bola Tinubu said with resilient democracy, Nigeria was well primed to attract foreign direct investments. The president witnessed the signing of two memoranda of understanding, MOU, one of the supply of gas from Nigeria to Germany and another for $500 million worth of renewable energy projects in Nigeria. The signing of MOUs was between Riverside LNG of Nigeria and Johannes Scotch Energy Import AG of Germany on the gas export partnership, while the other signed pact brought together Union Bank of Nigeria and DWS Group on cooperation and renewable energy. Okay, this is also a good one to Nigeria, I think. We also have to say that this is also a good start, and we hope that this signing in, or this bringing together of partnership and investment will speak well or may bring good tidings to Nigeria. Engineer Ola.
No, it depends on the terms of agreement. You know, when you are signing an agreement, you have terms, and if the terms are they favorable, they are not, or they are not favorable. This is an area we have to understand. You know, because when you are signing an agreement with anybody from the European Union, you have to be very careful. There are two things to it. One thing is that you may believe they are also transferring technology. Sometimes they are not transferring technology. They want to sign an agreement with you to exploit you. But when there's an understanding that, oh, you are not coming to exploit me, there must be a trade balance between the both of you. What will be your benefit? If you sign an agreement with me that, okay, you need gas from me, I'll supply you gas. Okay, you are bringing in another project, that is renewable energy. Fantastic. Now, bringing in renewable energy, you need technology. You are coming to establish your project or your company in this country.
Exactly.
To provide renewable energy. Are we also at the same time transferring technology that after a certain number of years, Nigerians will be able to do this on their own without depending on relying on you? So this is, we don't understand from the statement here how the project will go. But though it's a good, I am only particular about the specific, the details of the business agreement. It doesn't have to be at the end of the day exploitation something, because most of the foreigners, when they come to Africa, they exploit us. We have to, whenever we are going to deal with them, we have to take into consideration that there is no exploitation, but there must be transfer of technology.
Yeah, I think
that after 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years, we should be able to do this on our own. That is why the Chinese firms are coming to the country. But what we need to learn from them is there must be technology transfer. If you look at Indian economy today, Tata buses are made in India. Yes. That is, Tata is made in Germany. They've gotten the franchise. They build the engine. They do everything locally in India. Ashok Leyland, the same thing from Britain. They build the engine, they do everything. The tires and everything is manufactured in India. Because there has been an agreement on trade terms that we have to transfer the technology. You have to transfer the knowledge. When you transfer the knowledge, then we can be on our own. It's not the matter of importing biro, importing pen, importing ink. We are an import dependent nation. We cannot stand on our own. But when we are talking of in terms of transferring technology, one day we shall be able to stand on our 2 feet. China was not like this before, but look at China today. This is my position on this. It's a very good thing what the government has done, but at the same time, we have to be very careful when we are signing an agreement with any foreign investor from Europe, that we must include transfer of knowledge.
Okay, so quickly we'll take a look at the first story from the Sun, and that's how far we can go for the story. So let's take a look at the first story from the Sun. And this says Ohaneze Afenifere Middle Belt Forum press for state police. Prominent ethnic groups in Nigeria, including Ohaneze Ndigbo Worldwide Middle Belt Forum MBF, the Coalition of Northern Youth Groups, and Ijaw National Congress INC was backed the call by the Pan Yoruba Social Political Organization Afenifere on President Bola Tinubu to sign an executive order for the establishing of the state community policing as a way to cope the rising state of insecurity in the country. Afenifere, in a statement by its National Publicity Secretary, Jare Ajayi, had said the centralization of the policing is not healthy for a autogenous country like Nigeria, as it is not only weakens the security infrastructure, but also gives the semblance that Nigeria is a unitary state rather than the federal state rather than the federal state that it is, I beg to say. It separates telephone interviews. Publicity Secretary of Ohaneze Ndigbo, Chief Alex Ogbonna, and President of the MBF, Dr. Bitrus Bobu, said the position of Afenifere was in sync with theirs. They both noted that Nigeria cannot be sustained with centralized policy. Okay, so that's the first story that we have from the Punch. So, Engineer, I just want you to just say something briefly about this before we go to the last story.
Well, it's a very good thing that Nigeria is coming together to speak about state policy and local government policy. It's a very good thing. We've been talking about it. But again, we have to consider so many factors about this, our politicians, so that they will not take over the affairs of this state policy. You know, we look at the way Nigerian politics is going now, and how the locals are taking up politics of hatred, politics of bitterness. But is it because, you know, I'm very sure that every state governor will be able to address insecurity in
their own
yes, in their own state, because central police are not enough. How many police do you have? So, but at the same time, again, it has to boil down to resources. Are we going to depend on outside loan to pay the salaries of these police people, or are we going to, design a way where every state will be generating funds, or who is going to be responsible for the payment of this state police? Is it the state or the federal? I believe it's going to be the state. Where would the state get the money from? Would they rely again on the federal government to pay the salary of the state police? All these things have to be considered. That okay, we want to bring in state police. I can employ 500,000 policemen in my own state, provided I can be able to pay them. But one thing is that if you underpaid these police, they become criminals. So it's what you have to sit down, deliberate very well. How are we going to fund this state police policy for security? Maybe we are going to be paying them with our security vote, because I don't see what the governor is doing with the security votes now. So when you have state police in your state, the security vote must be used to pay their salary. Otherwise, now you have to talk about it also. You cannot create state police, federal government police, without talking about their remunerations. Without talking about their positions. And at the same time again, what I have seen all over the world is that when the police are living in the same community with the people, it is not easy for them to carry out their task. But when they are living in an environment where this is police housing scheme, they go out about their duties every morning. It will be easier for them to perform their duty than living together with you in the same community, because you'll be able to pollute them. But when they're living in a separate environment entirely, it will be difficult for you to pollute them. So I believe what they're talking about is fantastic, is okay. At the same time, they have to talk about how they will maintain them, their packaging, their packages, their salary, their allowances, the educational policy for their children, healthcare, and all the rest, before you say you want state policy.
Yeah, of the truth, I quite agree with you, because these are factors they also need to look into, because when they are well paid, when they are well taken care of, they won't be carried away by the little token that they are being given as bribe, because these are one of the things that affects them. When you see them and they've not eaten for the day, you see some of them, they are looking, and when somebody just comes to the station and say, yes, we want to see them, so you are going to bring this, you are going to bring that. These are also the factors that also affect them not doing their duty the very way they should do. Okay, so I think let's just take a look at this last story before we call it a day. Still from the Sun, this says, how PDP lost election because I rejected plans to bribe police, INEC, says Obasanjo. Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo has disclosed how the People's Democratic Party lost the 1998 local government elections in Ogun State because he turned down plans to bribe officials of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, and the police. He made the disclosure at high-level consultation organized by Rethinking Western Liberal Democracy in Africa yesterday at the Olusegun Obasanjo Presidential Library, Abeokuta. Okay, the former president said he rejected the proposal of the belief that INEC officials and the police were government workers earning salaries monthly. He also further stated that he was not an advocate of the slang Nigeria factor. Hence his refusal to subscribe to bribing the police and INEC officials to facilitate victory of his party. Then, when things go wrong, you say the Nigerian factor. That's we hear a lot. I say it's the Nigerian factor in quotes. The first thing I learned in politics was this thing called Nigerian factor in 1998. We had the first local government election. We had parties And here in Abeokuta, we met in my office and they came up and said, look, this is money for INEC, money for the police. At a stage I said, what nonsense. This is the police not being paid, or is the police not being paid and INEC too? They said that is how we do it. I said, this is Obasanjo saying, I said you cannot do that. So they did not do that, and of course we lost at all local government, and also we lost all. And they came to me and said, Baba, you see, if you had allowed us to do this the way we used to do it, we would have won. And I felt guilty. Okay, so in his last statement he said, during the next election, which the state was in the state assembly, I just stayed in my house. I said, well, do whatever you want to do, I will not be part of it. So I did not go. But the result was the same. One of the people who got money did not even distribute it to where he was supposed to distribute it to. Lastly, in his statement, he however insisted that the Western liberal democracy being practiced in Africa has not really taken human nature and the African situation into full account. Okay, so that's the last story that we have for the newspaper review. So this still goes down to part of the things we discussed yesterday. So seeing how we can, change the system. If we have been doing things in the same way over the years and it's not working, there is room to try things out, try other systems. It shouldn't be cast in concrete. That's what I think the message is trying to pass across. Engineer Ola, what's your view on this?
You see, what Baba is trying to say is that we tried to bribe in 1989. I refused to support them. We lost the election. The following election, we tried to bribe. I didn't go along with them. I told them, do whatever you like, and they lost the election. That is boiling down to the point that either you bribe or not,
what will be will
what
be.
will be will be. And Nigerian factor is this, that some people may take your money and they will not vote for you. Yes, some will take your money, they will tell you to your face.
Vote to the party
I don't like
choice.
you, I'm only taking this money, I will not vote for you. So, which means that to some extent, bribing may not count. But what really matters most is if you are upright on your job, and this is what you say you will do. Like when Awolowo was contesting the election, nearly every Yoruba person come out and say because of what Awolowo did when he was the premier of Western Region. We all saw the result. That was why everybody was trying to. I could remember that time also too. In Cross River State, Awolowo won, led. He is not from Cross River State. But people can be able to identify with him that this man, when he was the governor or the premier of Western Region, what he did. First television in Africa was from Western Region. First radio in Africa was from Western Region. Cocoa House, he delivered. Then educationally, most of us then, most of our fathers, including ourselves, we enjoy free education from the Western Region. Then we don't even know what is school fees when we are in primary school because of what Awolowo's policy. You know, there was no oil. Oil was before we discovered oil. Awolowo was ruling Western Region, and people came from Malaysia to borrow money. To understudy Nigerian palm oil plantation projects.
And I think as at then, cocoa was also doing.
And also, Awolowo he started the Nigerian Export Promotion Council, and he was exporting commodities, and Nigeria was making money. Pyramid, peanuts were in the north. Pyramid, you know, that is why people are able to identify that okay, my leader is from the north. Let me follow him because of what he has done. My leader is from the southeast, southwest. Let me follow him because of what he has done. But now we are not seeing a distinct leader now that will lead us correctly. That okay, let me follow this man because he's a distinct leader.
Without being a partisan.
Without being a partisan. Look at Tinubu. Tinubu, they say, okay, see what he has done in Lagos. Let us see if you can do the same thing at the federal level. That's why many people voted for Tinubu. That okay, if you can transform Lagos to this. I could remember during Jack Conde wanted to build a metro railway line. But Shagari did not sign it. So it was not visible then, but now we are seeing the traces of a metro railway line coming up gradually. So people can say, oh, let's vote for this man, as he has transformed Lagos. Maybe he will do same for Nigeria. But people are saying, no, he did not transform Lagos. It is not his handiwork. Whatever we say, time will tell for us to see if Tinubu will emulate the policy of Awolowo. So what Obasanjo is saying in essence is that either you bribe or you don't bribe, people will not follow you. It's now going back to the same thing we said yesterday, that about this Western democracy, foreign democracy in Africa. Is it working or not? We should be able to search our mind. This policy that we have adopted from the West, is it working or not? Is democracy really the government of the people, by the people, for the people? No. Democracy is government of the people, by few people, for the whole people.
It is questionable.
Questionable.
All right, this is why we'll call it a day on today's newspaper review. Thank you so much for being a great part of today's segment. It really was an insightful moment, and I'm sure that you also learned a whole lot. So, like I used to say, there is so much to do. There is so much to be done as far as Nigeria is concerned, as far as you and I are concerned in this country. So do the needful. And as we call it a day, I remain yours truly, Modut Dominic.
And my name is Oladipo.
And together we say, be Nigeria,
Bye Nigeria.
Have a blessed day ahead.
Good day.